Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, sisters. You're watching Women's AM with myself, Hasana, and joining us on the panel today we have Sister Nazia. Our guest this morning was Sister Hadan Yusuf, and of course we have some very special guests joining us from America. We have Jamie and Kimberly. Welcome to the show. It's great to see you here.
Thank you.
We're so excited. I mean, that accent is just going to be fantastic to listen to over the next segment. Tell us a little bit more about yourselves. Where are you from? And you're here in the UK on a visit, aren't you?
Yes, we're here for 2 full weeks, and it's been really enjoyable. It's been completely different than where we're from in the middle of America, but it's been very exciting.
Nebraska, am I right?
Nebraska,
I'm like trying to mentally picture all the states in my head, and I just can't seem to get it right.
Right in the middle. So your eyes look at it, and right there, smack dab in the middle.
Yep.
But I just graduated my undergrad in PR and advertising. My emphasis was that and a big degree in journalism, and I'll be going on to get my master's in the fall, and I also play volleyball for our university. Oh, wow. So I'm also a student athlete, and I'll continue that with my last year in the fall.
Brilliant.
And then I'm actually going to school for this, broadcast news. I'm in my final year, and then I'm also the director of news and promotions and social media at the radio station on campus, and so that keeps me pretty busy too.
Fantastic. So very multi-talented. There's a kind of a panel of multi-talented people. So you know, I'm really excited to kind of have this conversation because we were talking earlier on before the show actually about some of the maybe perceptions of Muslim women and things like that. Did you have any questions about kind of your understanding or any kind of stereotypes that you might have come across in regards to Muslim women?
The only questions that I would have is just how you guys handle that, knowing that there is those stereotypes, and going out and where you're on the tube and you just see people staring, and is it okay to ask questions?
Sister Hadan, do you want to handle that one?
Well, yeah. It's not okay, because the abuse isn't okay, the racism isn't okay, the Islamophobia, none of that's okay. But it's okay to ask questions. I mean, as you can tell, we're not, bite, and we're approachable, and and yes, we speak English, and all of the, all the other stuff that people think about Muslim women, and that we don't talk. And
but I think approachable after I've had my morning coffee. So just a kind of disclaimer there.
No, but it's fine to ask questions. I have no problem with people coming up, and people have. Can I ask you, why do you wear that, or why are you saying this, or that's fine. Staring is also relative. It depends on who's doing the staring, and if you're feeling uncomfortable, and if you're on some guy on his own giving. It depends, but it's not easy, and especially a lot of us are raising kids in this society where you're trying to empower a young person to grow up in a society where they're born and raised here. They see themselves as they're British. There's nowhere else for them. This is where they were born and raised, and therefore, but they're an outsider. They're seen as an outsider. They're seen as too Muslim, too brown, too different, and even people who I know who are English, ethnic English people who've converted to Islam, their kids also get the same kind of treatment. So it's not a ethnic thing, it's an Islam thing, and so it's very difficult. It's not easy, but no one, I don't know any Muslim woman or man who has a problem with people asking questions. And people have approached me, people have approached, my family, and we're always happy to answer the questions. It's the ridiculous abuse and that kind of thing. Nobody should tolerate that.
But we do get some very funny questions. We were talking about this before the show, and I love these questions. I mean, sometimes I have people coming up to me and asking all sorts, like, can you hear me under there? And I'm like, yeah, definitely can hear you, So I think it's fine to come up and approach people, and actually I think it's great because you're starting a conversation with someone, and I think that's really important. Obviously there's lots that we can learn about other people's cultures and other people's backgrounds, so I always welcome that, and I think it's fantastic. Sister Nazia, we had some really amusing stories about the kind of things that people have said to us, didn't we?
We did. I mean, the classics, isn't it? Do you wear this like going to bed? Do you wear this all the time? Because I think that just in itself points to the fact that you can never have enough dialogue. There has to be dialogue all the time, because for me personally, I would much rather someone came up and asked me why it is that I cover than to just sit and stare, because I think to just sit and stare, it's not going to achieve anything other than actually create the division and keep us separated. So for me personally, I would never get offended. I would most welcome for someone to just come and ask and try to understand as much as I would like to understand them. And I think when you have that dialogue, that's very important, and it should be encouraged.
I mean, we talked a little bit before as well about social media, and there's kind of like been lots happening on social media, and it's kind of almost a place to be now. And I'm sure there's lots of, hashtags out there and lots of people who are discussing Islam, and it's an interesting way to kind of start a conversation, isn't it? I know you guys are quite kind of savvy with social media, aren't you?
Yeah, it's the conversation started these days. It's an ongoing conversation, never stops. So as far as that being an interesting way that life is, kind of scary at times, the conversation conversation's never ending, but at the same time, it's easy to start one. So
I think that's also exciting for the future, is that because we rely so much on social media and just media in general, that it's only growing, it's only getting bigger, and we can only use it to our advantage even more.
and to boost self-worth. I mean,
Oh, there we go. And you're talking about the show. I wanted to ask what your experiences was, because you watched the whole show, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did you find it? You're under pressure now because we're all sitting here, so nice things only, please.
It was really interesting to listen to what you guys were saying about your culture and sort of take it into, my culture and like different cultures that I know.
Sure.
And it's really nice to be able to relate in things that, you never really thought of before.
Absolutely.
And so that's very interesting.
and at the same time, they cross paths. Like, all cultures cross paths at some point, and there's that same similarity that everybody has, especially us being women.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what culture you're in, they're going to be different, and the difficulties are going to be different, but at the same time, we're all going through some sort of difficulty.
There are going to be shared experiences, aren't there, that we all go through, and I think that's a really interesting point. And what a lovely note to end on. It's been great to have you here, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your trip, and do come back and see us, hopefully. It's been fantastic. Jazakallah khair to the sisters on the panel. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of another show, but of course, we're back again tomorrow at 11.